Chapter 4, The Assassination Attempt on de Gaulle. A group of fascist French generals dedicated to keeping Algeria as a French colony were the middle group in the 1961 and 1962 assassination attempts on French General de Gaulle. A French colonel, Bastien Thierry, commanded the 1962 group of professional assassins who made the actual assassination attempt on de Gaulle. Colonel Thierry set his group of assassins up at an interaction in the suburbs of Paris in this final attempt in 1962 to kill de Gaulle. The gunman fired more than 100 rounds in the 1962 Colonel Thierry assassination attempt, but General de Gaulle, traveling in his bulletproof car, evaded being hit. Although all of the tires were shot out, the driver increased his speed and the general was saved. That's from NASA, Nazis, and JFK. The Torbit document and the JFK assassination. This is the Adventures Unlimited Press edition. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. I wanted to talk a little bit about coincidences and strange bits of conspiracy that float about from time to time, and I wanted to note something that I consider to be a synchronicity, and that is the recent passing of Susan Atkins, who, if you do not know, is one of the principal members of Charles Manson's family, and she was one of the principal agents of murder for Tate LaBianca and for all of the other mischief that the family got up to back in the late 60s. Now, she had come into court pleading for a clemency release because she had advanced brain cancer and didn't have very long to live. And of course they denied her that, and I will go on record as saying right now that it doesn't matter how old, decrepit, or sick any of those people who are involved in the Manson murders they will not be granted any type of leniency, and none of them will ever get out of prison, ever, under any circumstances, unless they escape, of course, but they're all getting pretty old right now, so I don't expect as much. But anyway, the synchronicity. Susan Atkins goes for clemency, is denied, and then dies in prison. Okay? And around the same time, after so many years, Roman Polanski is arrested in Switzerland for the rape of a young girl in 1973. Now, Polanski and his whole crew, from the late 60s through until he went on the run after this rape in 73, he was connected occultically and cultically through his wife at the time of her murder, Sharon Tate, and some of her friends and coterie, as it were, into some pretty weird shit. And there are a lot of rumors that surround Polanski and Tate, and also the LaBiancas as well. And those rumors center around drugs and secret filming of sexual escapades, drug burns, and using people in sexual perversion, and possibly, maybe making films of that, whether to keep those people in line or to blackmail them or whatever. But supposedly some young up-and-coming stars were featured in some of these sort of homemade porno movies that took place at the residence of Tate and Polanski. And there were some pretty strange characters around Polanski himself. Now, things happen for a reason. There's never anything that goes on that is just totally random, because even a mathematician will tell you there's no such thing as random. There's a pattern in everything, no matter how much you try to mix things up. Usually even random number generators will give you that bell curve, you know what I mean? So and rolling the dice. You know, you always end up with the vast majority will be in the middle. And that's just the way it is, the way life is. So there's no such thing as random, okay? There's no such thing as, you know, things just happening out of the blue, in my mind, okay? So something is brewing underneath the surface here right now, okay? Because you got Polanski being arrested, possibly going to be coming back to the United States to face trial for child molestation and rape. And you have Susan Atkins dying in prison, okay, who was the murderer of his wife at the time, Sharon Tate, an up-and-coming actress herself. There's a lot of occultic and cult-like rumors and stories surrounding Polanski and Tate and the Manson family and everything else, you know. So, you know, if you've done any research into it, you know that it is a really deep pool. But something that I've said before, I think bears repeating, and that is that Charles Manson and the family and everything that he was into and touched, he's like a sort of 6 degrees of separation character in the entire evil history of the fucking United States in the late 20th century, second half of the 20th century, and even till today, the 21st century. He is like a spider at the center of the fucking web, okay, because he connects to almost everything. And if you look hard enough at almost every kind of satanic or cult activity that's happened since the Manson murders in '68, you can find some kind of connection to Manson or some Manson offshoot in some way. And I think there's a significance to that. And because these two events occurred almost around the same time, I believe that something's going to come to a head. And it should be rather interesting to see what that is. Because I'm sure Polanski knows a hell of a lot more than he's ever said about those times. And if he's brought back for trial and he ends up in prison, well, might he make a deal for something else in order to get out of it? Might he talk about some other things he knows about? Might he reveal some information about other people that they would rather have hidden? I don't know. I don't even know if there's anything there for him to reveal. But it's certainly interesting. And the fact that they came together like that means something. Somehow, some way, in the grand scheme of things. Just something to think about. In the occultic undercurrent that is happening all around you all the time. This has some sort of synchronistic message to send us. The end result is unknown to me, but I see it as having some gravitas. So anyway, just some thoughts on that subject for you. And thank you. Good night.